had some kids and how they were brought up.
Montana Beach chair.
Yeah, it's very.
That is a vacation, but this will be a good trip.
We also takes first time people.
Oh, yeah.
I will require a beach trip. So I have a vacation.
Chris,
Yes, sir.
mine just came up live on custom live viewing service.
Yep, we are live now. All right.
Live. Everyone. Watch it.
All right.
Live. The red light is on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, so we are live at 7:48. I believe we have most people back. I apologize for the technical difficulties for those in the public that were waiting to have this meeting occur. We had some technical difficulties, so we are now just getting started at 7:47. So, Mr. President, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Madam Secretary, are you ready to go?
Yes.
All right. We will call to order the March 8th meeting. We will stand and pledge allegiance to the flag and take a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're sorry for the delay this evening, but before we do start, I would like to let everybody know that we did have an executive session before the meeting earlier this evening. All right. You were sent before you have the February 8th minutes. Is there anyone that would like to add or subtract from those minutes? If not, I'd like to have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor to approve the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion
Aye.
carries. We will move on to the building reports. Dr. Russo.
All right, thank you. We're going to start with elementary this evening. So Dr. Sanders and Mr. Cobb, however you choose to tag team this, by all means, go ahead, gentlemen.
We'll go alphabetical. I'll start. Good evening, everybody. I'll keep it short and sweet. So I just want to take this opportunity to highlight our students for learning about Mae Jemison, the first African-American woman to go to space, and celebrating Black History Month. Our third grade students conducted a STEM space activity, backtracking some of the obstacles and experiences Mae Jemison experienced in space. This past week, our students celebrated Read Across America Week with crazy spirit days, fun-filled desserts from our cafeteria, and each student received a book from our PTO. Special thanks to our PTO, teachers, and staff for making it an exciting week for our students. Last but not least, I would like to share that our students' NOE raised over $15,000 for the American Heart Association for the Healthy Heart Challenge. In previous years, our highest donation was around $10,000. So this year they blew the record away amidst the pandemic. So special thank you to all the students and families who raised this money for the American Heart Association. Dr. Sanders.
All right, thank you. Also at CT, we did a number of things through Black History Month, including reading books about Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, and Martin Luther King, some other art projects that went along with that as well. A mosaic of Martin Luther King was really beautiful to see. It's hanging down the hallways as well, very nicely done. Just like NOE, we celebrated Reading Across America Week, dressing up, as Mr. Cobb said earlier. We too had our grab giveaway. A student got a new book during that week as well. Also, a special thanks to the Gettysburg Rotary Club, provided dictionaries to all of our third graders, and they were very excited to receive their dictionary as well. Also on Friday, Dr. Ross did a virtual read aloud for all of our kids. He dressed up as Dr. Seuss and had his thing 1 and thing 2 by his side. That was always a good time. To kick off March's Core Essential, which was patience, Mrs. Borton, our art teacher, did a school-wide drawing activities where she demonstrated how the kids for each should draw the Lorax, which was a lot of patience on her part and students as well. Not to outdo Mr. Cobb, but CT also with the American Heart Association, we raised $16,860 this year, which was usually we average about $2,000 to $4,000. So we really did a great job there as well. And upcoming on Thursday, the 25th, is our annual Book Buddy Night, which is our story read aloud time. This year it's going to be virtual. So staff will be in their PJs at home, reading stories to the CT families wearing their pajamas as well. And that's all for K3. Thank you.
Dr. Armacost.
Great, thank you so much. Just want to say kudos to a lot of our teachers that are trying a new app called Booklet that takes what you do in Quizlet and turns it into various game modes for our students. And as you know, technology and games certainly engage our students. So we found that a really helpful app. Like everybody else with Black History Month, we had students that write bio poems on Martin Luther King. And we've also had activities where students can choose a short Netflix read aloud and then use an app where they roll the app and it gives you with a dice and it comes up with a writing prompt that students then respond to. Like the elementary Read Across America was another huge success at our building. Students are now continuing to vote for their favorite genre. And it's a tight race between realistic fiction and fantasy. Music in our school months is an annual tradition at Cvis, and during the morning announcements, students play duets over the announcements. And then finally, two final things. First off, Mrs. Banda students in 6th grade are writing persuasive letters to try to encourage their classmates to visit that's writer's favorite restaurant, and those letters then get sent to the restaurants. And as in years past, all of a sudden we get gift cards to Olive Garden and Longhorn and all those other kind of things to encourage our students and families to attend. And finally, over a year ago, we were asked to write a letter of support for a research project that's being conducted by the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and the Devereaux Center for Effective Schools to bring evidence-based mental health supports into rural schools. I'm excited to say that we were asked to join this project, and it's going to seek ways to provide online services and training approach for school personnel who work with mental health concerns in rural schools. So we're very excited at the amazing opportunity for our building. And that's it for CBS.
Thank you, Dr. Armacost. Mr. Mahler, keep the good times rolling, sir.
Good evening, school board and members of our administrative team and the Conewago community. Just like to recognize the winners of our February door decorating contest. Again, I talked about that in February. Student Council put that up. 8th grade students were using the theme Black History Month, and for their design, 7th graders were using the American Heart Association as a theme. Outstanding efforts by all, very creative, very informative essays that kind of, in some cases, went beyond the door. Lockers and different things like that were used as props, and it was really pretty cool to see on both accounts. The Supreme Champion, Mrs. Mart's homeroom. 7th grade co-winners, Mr. Harned and Miss Stewart's homerooms. And the 8th grade winner was Mrs. Hull's homeroom downstairs. So very nice effort. Look for pictures on our social media in the next couple of days. And again, we're pretty proud of that. Most every door we had was decorated in the building. So nice work. In addition to that contest, we have continued to examine Black History Month and celebrate that along with Women's History Month by spotlighting key figures and doing like a little keynote spot there on the morning announcements. So that was involved as well. I'd like to thank everybody for their efforts in the winter sports. Our athletes represented us very well. Very proud of the effort, and also like to recognize our 7th and 8th grade boys basketball team. Mr. Starner sent me that email again. I know he's very proud. Very successful winter campaign as they finished 8-4. Spring sports started today. Again, we'd like to wish all the athletes and coaches the very best as they begin this journey. Very proud of our TNT Kindness Week activities 2 weeks ago. Shout out to Mrs. Herndon and Mrs. Miller and our TNT and their effort in keeping the kindness flame lit in our building. We're deep in the middle of PSSA preparations and Keystone preparations. We meet monthly as a core team, including today. to navigate this process and to provide the very best testing environment for our students. So again, there's a lot to unpack there, but we're committed to doing that. We just finished today another successful round of Linkit training with Lynn Miller. Last week we met with social studies and ELA. Today we did science and math, and Lynn is helping us through some tough questions as professionals, and we'll certainly benefit from this, and it will allow us to continue to grow in our use of the Linkit platform. So that's a wrap for the middle school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mullen. Dr. Bowman?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Russo. Good evening, everyone. As everybody has addressed, as we wrapped up February, we reflected a little bit on Black History Month. I think the high school has taken a little bit of a different approach. Over the years, our social studies department has taken the lead for obvious reasons, and they've infused a lot of enhancements into our curriculum and the student experience over the years. For example, Mr. Cross does a great job where he actually brings in authentic reenacting uniforms from different conflicts throughout history that all belong to Black soldiers. And his students investigate those uniforms and the continuity across those different conflicts. They use context clues to draw conclusions about the experience of those soldiers. Mrs. Carter has set up a display outside of her classroom highlighting Black achievements in the different areas such as STEM, literature, and the arts. When teaching about westward expansion and the Homestead Act, our teachers highlight the experiences of the exodusters, the Black migrants who moved from Kentucky to Kansas to escape KKK violence. Based on conversations with students, we've created an activity in our department that centers around the Jim Crow laws and the voting restrictions that came with that, and also the resistance that pushed back against that. In the 21st century, as we all know, we've normalized that resistance to racial oppression, but it's often difficult for our ninth graders to truly understand the danger that came with pushing back against that white supremacy during that time period, or that anyone actually resisted. So they even are exposed to a map, which requires our students to cite some examples and provide some summaries that create a discussion posts. And they also look at a whole bunch of different events ranging from the 1500s to present day, including the Lily Bell Allen protest that actually took place right down the road in York City in 1969 and eventually led to the conviction of the sitting mayor in 2000. So even a little piece of local history. I'm gonna move on to a recent event we hosted, which was last Wednesday, March 3rd. We welcomed representatives from TSBA and a guest from Senator Mastriano's office and a team member from Senator Mal's office. We had a team of 8 faculty and students in total, joining Dr. Rudisil and myself in sharing our NOHS story with them. We focused on all the amazing successes that we've had and the opportunities that we provide for our students, despite the current climate and the glaring inequities in school funding. We also shared challenges that we currently face due to that lack of funding and how support from our local legislators could magnify all the great opportunities we already provide for our students. I want to send a personal thank you out to those faculty presenters, Mark Rodrigo, Sean Capapiano, Sean Myers, and Doug Worley, and even more importantly, our students, Selena Rosario, Grace Nielsen, JT Weiderman, and Peyton Mathis, for sharing their NOHS stories to our guests. A huge congratulations goes out to our speech and debate team. If you didn't know, this past weekend, they successfully defended their district title. So they are district champions for the 2nd year in a row. And we have a great contingent moving on to the state competition here in the next few weeks. So we'll keep you posted at the next board meeting of their success. For Mr. Worley, in athletics, the winter season has come to an end just in time for the spring seasons to start today. Our winter teams were able to play and compete 96% of the scheduled contests, even with weather and COVID causing changes and rescheduling. We want to congratulate Dylan Forbes on winning the 215-pound bracket at the sectional tournament, coming in 3rd place at the District 3 tournament and advancing to the Super Regional, where he was able to win 1 match, placing 6th. He's considered a PIAA state qualifier since they had to add the Super Regional this year to limit the number of athletes at one site. Jerry DeToli earned a 2nd place finish at 113 pounds at the sectional tournament and was able to advance to the District 3 tournament. Our competitive spirit team will be competing in the District 3 Championships at CD East on March 20th in hopes of securing a spot at the PIAA State Championships in April. And they also recently learned that they did earn a bid to the Nationals. Our men's lacrosse team has a really interesting idea. They are creating and hosting a fundraiser right now as we speak. And all of those proceeds they have decided to donate to the youth lacrosse program in our community. They want to give back to the program that basically raised them into the athletes they are in lacrosse today. So I just wanted to give a shout out because you don't often see that in communities or anywhere really where teams kind of forego their own benefit and pay it back to their youth programs. So pretty exciting. And Coach Cross is also working with some of his contacts at Lacrosse Unlimited to see if he can set up a significantly discounted starter package for any of our new players in the youth program. As far as upcoming events, we have our spring open house this Wednesday night from 5 to 7:30. It will be virtual again with parent conferences scheduled through Skyward and hosted on Zoom. And Mrs. Kress, our learning coach, is offering a Schoology Basics sessions this year, or this semester, I should say, also via Zoom. And she's running 2 different sessions for those parents. So we're excited to see how many may attend and get their feedback on how Schoology can benefit them as parents. We have a unique event that we're planning for March 24th. This year, all 4 of our current honor societies are combining their efforts. And within the occupancy limits of the current COVID restrictions, which is 15% of the total auditorium, we are creatively going to be able to fit all of the new inductees and their parents in for that event to keep us under that limit of 210. Our advisors have already been diligently working on creating a staggered seating chart so that the students and parents can fit. So we're excited to be able to host that event for all of our new inductees. And lastly, we are embarking upon our spring season here, as we said today, and our teams will open with competition as of March 26th. Go Colonial.
Thank you, Dr. Bowman. Dr. Corbin, World of Special Education, please.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to share this evening. Many of our students also celebrated and participated in the Read Across America Week. In our guidance department, they continue to focus on supporting students socially and emotionally, as well as at New Oxford Middle School, as Mr. Muller also shared, the TNT group worked and developed those random acts of kindness week, where students actually shared stories of how they've been impacted by kindness, and the hearts with the words and phrases of kindness are still in the lockers throughout the hallways as a reminder. What a great activity for our guidance department and that TNT group. In the world of gifted, some of our 6th grade students sent entries into Hershey Story History Writing Contest. Here the stories could be any genre surrounding history. And I actually had the pleasure of reading one of our students that wrote about World War II. What an amazing writer she was. Also, there was a team of 4th grade students in the gifted program that submitted to the LIU STEM Challenge. We're still waiting to hear the results for both of these entries, but I'm hoping that the teacher will share again in the next month or 2 to let us know how our students did in those 2 contests. Some of our elementary autistic support classrooms explored dental health last month, and the students were learning about the importance of brushing and flossing and talked about good and bad food for their teeth. At CVIS, as Dr. Armacost had also stated, some of our 6th grade learning support students also participated in those persuasive letters to the local restaurants, showing their support and trying to convince others to eat at and support their favorite local restaurants. In our future transition class for 9th and 10th grade at the high school, they worked on a community service activity. They made Valentine's cards for nursing home residents. They also incorporated some cooking and baking activities to show their appreciation to the high school faculty and staff. In Mrs. Lardarello's science class, they have what they call Mad Scientist Mondays. With a shortened period, they've been able to do some experiments like salt lava lamps and learning about the science behind it all, as well as reading about things like exoplanets and videos about unexplainable science phenomena, which have been providing some great discussion and learning for those students. The replacement math students have partnered with Junior Achievement on a program called Virtual STEM Expo, where students explore jobs within the STEM-related career field. Students are given a chance to see real-world people in various career paths. And to take this a step further, students will be actually going to the CCTC to see the connection between the careers they explored and the future possibilities for them at CVSD. What a great thing going on there at New Oxford High School. And those are just some of the great things that have been happening over the past month within guidance, gifted, and special ed across the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Corbin. That concludes our building reports.
All right. So we should be able to, is Isabella with us tonight?
Yes, Isabella is with us. Isabella, if you're ready, we're ready for you.
Good evening, everyone. So the Executive Student Council, we are currently in the process of planning a St. Patty's Day event. So this will take place at the end of next week, so Thursday and Friday. So one day for the A kids and then one day for the B kids. We will also have a Spirit Day on these 2 days for students to wear green. And so we will be giving each teacher 5 golden coins to hide around their classroom. And the Executive Student Council will be hiding coins around the school as well. And then the top 3 students who find the most coins will be awarded a gift card. And then we will be marking these coins with like a stamp or something on them, just so students can't go out and buy them or anything. So we'll be doing that. And that's all I have to report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabella.
All right. All right, just we'll move on to Dr. Perry.
Good evening, everyone. I have 2 items this evening. The first being the pleasure that I had to be invited as a guest reader as part of Read Across America and Mrs. McMaster's and Mrs. Long's class from CVIS, so that was fun. The second item that I have for my report this evening is regarding our spring testing. There are still some questions from the community about whether or not we will be engaging in spring testing this year, and the answer is a definitive yes. So the windows for testing this year for the PASA begins today through May 7th. For the PSSA, we have narrowed down that window, and that will be April 19th through May 7th. For the Keystone exams, the window will be May 20th through May 28th for final makeups. So our goal is to condense and make sure that all of our spring testing happens before the conclusion of the school year. This will include all of our students who would be tested. They will be hearing from building principals, and information has been updated on our website. We will also be testing the CVOA students, and Lincoln's Edge students will also participate in testing here on campus. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Dr. Rudy Sale for your report.
All right. Well, good evening. And again, I'd like to apologize for the technical difficulties we had this evening, and we'll rectify that so in the future that does not happen. As we enter our final trimester of the school year, I want to kind of give an update of where we are in regards to as a school district and with COVID. First, as many of you know, a vaccine was made available for educators this past week. For Conewago Valley School District, this means 185 of our faculty, administrators, and staff will have this opportunity to be vaccinated. Per the state guidance, we will look to offer the vaccination to all our K through 6 administration, faculty, and staff. All of our K-6 administration, faculty, and staff will be offered the vaccination within the next week. Our day right now, as it stands tentatively, would be Sunday, Sunday, March 14th. And that will be held at our local intermediate unit right here on Billerbeck Street, Lincoln Intermediate Unit. After all the 185 vaccinations are used, the state will have a phase 2 or round 2 of vaccinations that will occur at the end of March, beginning of April. And that will go out to all our 7 through 12 administration, faculty, and staff. We anticipate by the end of March, beginning of April, all of our staff will have had that opportunity to receive the vaccination if they choose to. Another update tonight that I'd like to share is I'd like to ask the board tonight, when they look at ways and means, look at item number 2, and that's to approve the reopening of CVIS to a full-time instruction for our students, all our students. We completed a survey this past week to parents to gain their perspective on what they would like to do for CVIS and if they would like it to reopen. we had 723 families respond out of 900. So a very good turnout, and 94.4% or 707 of the families wanted to return to full instruction. So per that survey and the results, we will look to do that. The reopening plan for CVIS will be a staggered opening the week of March 15th. It will look something like this. On March 15th, that's a Monday, we will have remote learning for all students at CVIS. On March 16th, that Tuesday, we'll invite all our 4th grade students to return to full-time instruction. Our 5th and 6th grade students will follow a hybrid schedule. On Wednesday, March 17th, we'll have all our 4th and 5th grader students back in the building, with 6th grade students following their hybrid schedule for one more day. And then Thursday, March 18th, all the CVIS, all 4th through 6th grade will return to full-time instruction. Dr. Armacost will share more details on the return to full instruction this week with parents via Skylert. So please look for your emails. Look in your emails this week to gain more information. Over the next week, 2 weeks, we'll begin to investigate what it might look like to bring back our 7th through 8th grade students along with our 9th through 12th grade students full time. Right now, we don't have a definitive timetable for that return, but parents and community, please be on the lookout for a survey next week to gain your perspective on what you would want to happen for your students. And that's what I had to report tonight. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Russo. Looks like a brighter future for our kids. All right, is there any public comment on the agenda-related items at this moment?
There are no comments.
Okay, I would like to have a motion to strike number 20 in personnel on tonight's agenda. Do I hear a motion to strike?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to strike number 20 on personnel. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there any nays? Ayes carry. All right, we'll move on to honors and recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Groff. First up, congratulations to Courtney Smith, who was selected as the New Oxford High School Rotary Student of the Month for January. Congratulations to Dylan Forbes for being nominated for the Winter Sports Athlete of the Week for the week of February 22nd. Congratulations to Zachary Barnhart, who was selected as the New Oxford High School Rotary Student of the Month for February. Also, note and congratulations to those students that have been accepted into their colleges, as well as scholarships as annotated on the agenda. Back to you, Mr. Groff.
All righty. Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to the treasurer's report.
The balance of the 4 accounts is $20,072,949.19. I so move the treasurer's report be filed for audit.
Okay, we have a motion to pay the bills or to the treasurer's report. Is there any addition or correction that anybody else has seen? If not, I'd like to have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes.
Mr. Flickinger,
Yes.
Mr. Huffman,
Bill, are you there?
No, he's there.
Go ahead, I was muted.
Mr. Huffman?
Yes.
Ms. Gowker?
She's there.
Yes.
Mr. Craybill?
Yes.
Mrs. Souter?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Kinshu?
Yes.
And Mr. Groff?
Yes. All right, we'll move on to finance.
I'd like to recommend items 1 through 4 and additional item number 5 for approval.
Okay, we have a motion for approval, 1 through 4 plus number 5. Any additions or corrections at this time? If not, I need a second.
Second.
We have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Flickinger,
Yes.
Mr. Huffman,
Yes.
Ms. Scalker,
Yes.
Mr. Craybill,
Yes.
Mrs. Souter,
Yes.
Mr. Kinshu,
Yes.
Mr. Buckley.
Yes.
And Mr. Groff.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we have Ways and Means.
I'd like to recommend item number 1 with the addition of items 2 and 3 for approval.
Okay, we have a motion for 1 plus the additional items 2 and 3. Is there any addition or corrections on those? All right, if not, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Huffman,
Yes.
Ms. Scalker,
Yes.
Mr. Craybill,
Yes.
Mrs. Souter,
Yes.
Mr. Kinshu,
Yes.
Mr. Buckley.
Yes.
Mr. Flickinger,
Yes.
and Mr. Groff.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And we will move on to personnel.
I'd like to recommend for items 1 through 17 and additional items 18, 19, and 21 for board approval.
All right. We have a motion to approve personnel items 1 through 17 and 18 through 21, with the exception we took out 20. Is there any additional corrections in personnel? If not, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. We will have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Huffman,
Yes.
Ms. Scalker,
Yes.
Mr. Craybill,
Yes.
Mrs. Souter,
Yes.
Mr. Kinshu,
Yes.
Mr. Buckley.
Yes.
Mr. Flickinger,
Yes.
and Mr. Groff.
Yes. All right. For the first time in a long time, we have some property and supplies. Mike?
Yes. I'd like to recommend item number 1 with additional item number 2.
All right, we have a motion for 1 plus number 2. And is there any additions or corrections to be made at this time? If not, I would like a second.
Second.
We have a second for property and supplies. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Craybill,
Yes.
Mrs. Souter,
Yes.
Mr. Kinshu,
Yes.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes.
Mr. Flickinger,
Yes.
Mr. Huffman,
Yes.
Ms. Scalker,
Yes.
and Mr. Groff.
Yes.
Thank you.
At this time, is there any other business which may be properly come before the board? One must speak. If not, then we'll move on to public comment on non-agenda items.
We do have one public comment on non-agenda items. This comes from February 12th, 2021. Comes from Laura Wukovitz, a Conewago Valley resident from 244 Cedar Ridge Road, New Oxford, Pennsylvania. Related to building reports from February 8th board meeting, I am disappointed that Black History Month did not figure more prominently in the reports. A day of kindness is nice, but given the significance of Black contributions to the United States, not to mention recent events related to racism at big liberal schools, this seems like a missed opportunity for inclusion and education. I encourage the Conewago School District to ensure that curriculum for students at all grade levels is inclusive of the contributions of Black, Native, and other minority populations, and that school climate where all students are safe and welcome without fear of racism and all forms of bias.
Okay. That ends the public comment. All right, dates to remember. April 5th will be our study section, and April 12th will be the next board meeting. All right, if there is no other business, at 8:21, I'd like a motion to adjourn the meeting.
A motion to adjourn the meeting.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second to adjourn the meeting.